Ryan Gosling is Ghost Rider. Let me say that again because it actually happened this past Saturday inside Hall H at Comic-Con, and it did not leak, did not slip out early, did not get spoiled on some industry blog 3 weeks ago. Marvel sat on it, played it perfectly, and dropped it live in front of a packed room in San Diego. Kevin Feige opened by teasing the crowd about why Marvel sits on news this big for so long, then pointed straight at journalist Josh Horowitz sitting in the audience, the same guy who has spent literal years pestering Gosling on his own show about when he'd finally suit up as the Spirit of Vengeance. Horowitz grabbed a mic and asked the question one more time, and that's when Gosling walked out. He told the crowd he could barely believe it was really happening, and that this was a role he had wanted for a long time. Then Sean Levy came bounding out behind him, and the whole building lost it. That's the headline. Gosling is playing Ghost Rider, the movie is real, it has a director, and Marvel is aiming for 2028. But there is a lot more going on underneath that headline, and some of it changes how I'm reading Marvel's entire next phase. Let's start with how this actually came together, because the story behind it is better than I expected. Levy revealed that he and Gosling had quietly been riffing on Ghost Rider ideas during downtime on the set of their other movie together, Star Wars Starfighter, which lands in theaters next spring in May 2027. At some point, Levy basically told him they should just go for it. Feige backed that up by saying Gosling did not just show up wanting the part, he came in with an actual take on who this version of the character should be, and that pitch is reportedly a big reason the studio greenlit the project when it did. This was not a call from an agent's office, it was two guys building a pitch between takes on a completely different franchise. Speaking of that workload, Gosling is stacked right now. He just closed out Project Hail Mary earlier this year, he has Starfighter landing next spring, and now he is locked into a Marvel franchise lead on top of that. Deadline also reported he recently dropped out of a secretive project from the Daniels, the directing duo behind Everything Everywhere All at Once, that was set up at Universal, and the timing lines up neatly with Ghost Rider eating his schedule. The guy basically cleared his calendar for a flaming skull. For anyone who only knows this character from the Nicolas Cage movies, a quick refresher helps. Johnny Blaze is a stunt motorcyclist who makes a deal with the devil to save his dying father. The deal goes sideways the way these deals always do, and Blaze ends up bonded to a spirit of vengeance that turns his head into a literal flaming skull whenever he is near evil. Cage played that version twice for Sony, in 2007 and again in 2012's Spirit of Vengeance. And funnily enough, Gosling's own partner Eva Mendes co-starred in the first one. There is also a second cinematic version worth remembering. Robbie Reyes, played by Gabriel Luna on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back in 2016. That show technically existed under the Marvel television umbrella, and its connection to the actual movie continuity was always murky, plus the planned spin-off series built around that version got scrapped years ago. So depending on how strict you want to be about canon, Gosling could end up being the first Ghost Rider to properly exist inside the mainline MCU timeline. Marvel has not spelled out exactly which version Gosling is playing, but nearly every outlet covering the announcement is working off the assumption that it is Johnny Blaze, and a new logo for the project was shown at the panel to back that up. My honest guess is that Marvel does not do a straight page-for-page adaptation here. This studio almost never does. I would expect them to keep the Blaze name and the stuntman backstory, but pull in details from Danny Ketch or Robbie Reyes to modernize it, the same way they blended comic runs for Spider-Man and half a dozen other characters already. Here is a detail a lot of casual fans probably do not know. Cage's Ghost Rider almost showed up before any of this, in Deadpool and Wolverine. Concept art that surfaced after that movie came out showed Cage's version fighting alongside Ben Affleck's Daredevil against the Deadpool Corps in the Void sequence. Ryan Reynolds later confirmed he personally reached out to Cage about reprising the role, and the two of them did talk it through, but Cage passed in the end. So Levy was already circling this character creatively a full year before he officially signed on to direct his own Ghost Rider movie, which makes the timing of all this feel less like a coincidence and more like something he had been quietly building toward. That brings up the rating question, which is genuinely unresolved right now. Deadpool and Wolverine proved there is a massive audience for an R-rated Marvel movie, and Ghost Rider as a character practically begs for that treatment. We are talking damnation, hellfire, a guy whose power is punishing sinners by making them relive their worst moments. It is dark, violent source material by design. A lot of fans are hoping Levy pushes for the same rating he got on his last Marvel movie. My personal read is that it is not guaranteed. Gosling is a genuine box office draw right now, and Marvel might prefer the wider reach of a PG-13 rating for a character this expensive to launch, the same calculation that shaped the original 2007 Cage movie and made it a much softer film than the comics ever were. Here is where I think the really interesting story is, and it is one the panel did not spell out directly. Mephisto is already in the MCU. He showed up properly for the first time in the finale of Ironheart, played by Sacha Baron Cohen, closing out years of fan theories that started all the way back with WandaVision and kept getting fueled through Loki and Agatha all along. Feige has since confirmed Cohen is coming back in future projects, he just has not said where. And here's the thing, Johnny Blaze's entire comic book origin is built around a deal with Mephisto specifically, not some generic devil stand-in, the actual character. If Marvel is building toward a real Ghost Rider mythology and it already has its Mephisto fully cast and confirmed to return, it would be a genuinely strange choice not to connect those two dots. I would bet on Cohen showing up in this movie in some capacity, whether as the one who makes the deal in the first place or as the film's central villain. That connects to a bigger pattern I've been tracking across the last few years of MCU output. WandaVision opened the door with chaos magic on a scale we had not seen before. Moon Knight introduced Egyptian gods and human avatars. Werewolf by Night quietly confirmed monsters have existed in this universe the whole time. Agatha all along kept the witchcraft thread going. Now Mephisto is confirmed and Ghost Rider is coming. That is basically every ingredient Marvel needs for a Midnight Suns style team up eventually, mixing Ghost Rider with Blade, Doctor Strange, Moon Knight, and the rest of the supernatural side of the roster into one shared corner of the universe, the same way the early Avengers movies stitched together separate franchises. Let's talk scheduling, because this is where we can actually make an educated guess about timing. Going into the convention, Marvel had 3 open release dates on the 2028 calendar, May 5th, July 28th, and December 15th. That last one did not stay open for long. The same Hall H panel that gave us Ghost Rider also locked December 15th, 2028 for Black Panther 3, confirmed Ryan Coogler is back directing, confirmed Denzel Washington is joining the cast in a role Marvel has not detailed yet, and revealed David Johnson as the new Black Panther, playing T'Challa's son right there on stage, alongside Letitia Wright and Winston Duke. That leaves Ghost Rider picking between May and July of 2028. There is ongoing chatter that July might be held for Marvel's X-Men reboot, which is still in development and was not addressed at this panel at all, so treat that as speculation rather than anything confirmed. My money is on Ghost Rider taking the May slot, which would mean cameras probably start rolling sometime in 2027, likely right after Starfighter wraps, and both Gosling and Levy are free again. Zoom out one more level and this announcement makes a lot of sense as part of a bigger strategy. The multiverse saga has been a mixed bag financially compared to the Infinity Saga, and Marvel knows it. Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom already reset a lot of the conversation around Doomsday and Secret Wars, and the exclusive footage shown only inside Hall H, not the trailer that went online earlier in the week, seemed to land a lot better with the room. That footage opened on Doom seated on a throne, while Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm narrates how broken he has become, intercut with the classic Fox-era X-Men cast, Cyclops and Magneto among them, getting what is looking more and more like a farewell victory lap before Marvel's true MCU reboot of the X-Men arrives separately down the line. The public trailer earlier in the week had actually landed pretty lukewarm online, so that in-room reaction mattered. Against that backdrop, Ghost Rider reads like Marvel deciding it cannot just keep leaning on returning Avengers and nostalgia casting to carry the franchise. Instead of another legacy hero, the studio is opening up an entire mythology that barely exists on screen yet, full of demons and curses and consequences that have nothing to do with saving the multiverse. That is the model that made the Infinity Saga work in the first place, individual franchises standing on their own before eventually colliding, and Marvel finally has room to try that again now that Secret Wars is about to close out the current chapter. My last thought is on tone, because this is the part that actually worries me a little. Levy's recent track record is fast, funny, and enormously entertaining, and Deadpool and Wolverine proved he can land big emotional beats inside all that chaos. But Ghost Rider is not supposed to be fun in that way. It is supposed to be uncomfortable. It is about guilt and damnation and a guy who cannot control what he becomes at night. If Levy leans too hard into spectacle and one-liners, this could end up feeling like a missed opportunity instead of the reinvention Marvel clearly wants it to be. If he gets the balance right though, this might end up being one of the most distinctive movies Marvel has made in years. Let me know down in the comments which version of Ghost Rider you want Gosling channeling, because I have got thoughts and I guarantee you do too.